you love personalization, custom options and exclusivity, Mini is usually a good place to start. And here we have one such example. It's called the Paul Smith Edition, and it basically packages in a number of cosmetic highlights showcasing the full possibilities of different trim and color combinations. For example, it's got a Nottingham green roof, and then you've got the trademark Paul Smith stripes on the side there, matching side mirrors. And if you look closely, you might not be able to see it on camera, but you've got navy blue skirting all around the bottom. It just creates, yeah, something very unique, very exclusive. From that angle right there, I think it looks the best. It's got a bit of sort of fat rally car presence about it, a bit of stance. Around at the front, being a fully electric model based on the Cooper SE, there's a closed off grille area, but you do have more of that Nottingham green highlight around where the grille would be, and a little intake lower down. Traditional beady headlights and a kind of bubbly body profile, and then the Paul Smith Edition comes with these unique black painted and sort of machined face 18-inch alloy wheels. They wear 255/40 Goodyear low profile tyres. Although this is a special edition, Mini hasn't specifically outlined any kind of limitation on production numbers or anything like that. But I think the most interesting part about it is its underpinnings. It shares its platform, Spotlight Auto platform, with GWM cars. Yep, this is Chinese. The system comprises of a roughly 50 kilowatt hour battery, sending energy to a front-mounted electric motor producing 160 kilowatts and 330 newton meters. Mini claims 0 to 100 in 6.7 seconds, making it about as quick as a Cooper S petrol model. And then with a full charge battery, you've got around 400 kilometers range. Given that it is an electric model, it is heavier than the typical petrol equivalent, the Cooper S. You've got a curb weight of around 1,600 kilograms, which is pretty light for a modern EV. I think that's partly due to, or mostly due to, that small-ish battery. 50 kilowatt hours roughly is pretty small by modern EV standards. So the trade-off is quick charging, but you've got a sort of smaller range than a lot of the other EVs out there. It depends what you want to treat this as. I think it's more of a fun, city-loving car that's good for zipping around the suburbs and so on. You can still take it on a mountain road blast if you want to. 400 kilometers range on paper is pretty good. You can get away for a weekend or whatever, but it just doesn't offer the range or pure grand touring capability as some EVs out there on the market right now. And taking a look inside, this special edition has got a number of unique options as well. I love this material across the dash. It's like a fabric, really stretched across. Gives it a more warm feeling when you're inside. Same with the door trims. There is harder plastics lower down for the harder wearing areas. And then on the dashboard, you've got this watch style of circular touchscreen display. It's really cool. You've got different options there. You can just hit different areas and it pops up different information like the climate and all of that sort of thing. Climate fan button, it is a little bit fiddly, but once you get used to it, it's not too bad. I would still prefer physical climate controls down here on a separate panel, but I think it's the next best thing because that little main menu bar stays there all the time. Even when you get Apple CarPlay or Android Auto running, that's always there, so you can easily just jump to that. And then you've got this experiences toggle down here. I'll put it into my favorite, the go-kart mode. And you get this kind of Mario dude in the background, woohoo! And then you can go in and focus on different areas as well. So you can get kind of an old school classic display set up there as well, or you can go back to the power and torque output and your G meter and all that sort of thing. So plenty of customization options there. You do have a pop-up head-up display. It's just one of those Perspex plastic things that pops up. I find them a little bit annoying. Because I don't know, my eyes just kind of, I don't think there's anything wrong with my eyes, but I just prefer to look straight through the screen than have this sort of other panel popped up in front of me. But it is kind of the next best thing. I think a proper digital spray up type on the windscreen is better. And for the money you're paying for this is around $60,000 for a small car. I think it should have a proper head-up display, not one of those pop-up systems. I love this material here. It's actually forming part of the steering wheel structure, and you've just got the two spokes. I think that's really cool. It's just a unique touch. Same with the kind of saddlebag straps here. They don't do anything, but they just help to make this feel and look very different to any other EV on the market today. You know, it doesn't have the typical twin screens across the dash with the 2 cup holders and the 2 wireless pads here. This is very different. You do have a wireless charging pad down there, and it is all rubber lined on the bottom, so that is good, so things don't scratch about. Got this cup holder section. We've even got a little tray there for your keys or sunglasses or whatever, and you've got sports seats in the front because this is kind of like the electric equivalent of a Cooper S. They got nice side bolsters to hide you in the corners. Navy blue leather for the seats as well. That matches the lower skirting on the bodywork, and more of that material matching the dashboard. And in the back, you do have kind of an electric seat. You just pull that tab and it tilts forward and slides forward a bit. Yeah, it always surprises me on how much room you've got in the back of a Mini. Because it is quite square, it doesn't take on like a coupe profile, and you've actually got more headroom than some regular hatchbacks and larger hatchbacks out there. Legroom is a bit tighter. I'll just close the seat up. That's in my seating position, and it's not actually touching my knees, but I can see like my foot's hitting the rail there, and you've got to like really concentrate your feet into the middle of the foot well. I can see how this would start to feel a little bit cramped if you were taller. I'm 170 centimeters, and I reckon I could sit back here for a decent drive and yeah, remain quite comfortable. There are only 2 seats in the back. This is not a 3-seat bench, so that does kind of help actually, but it means yeah, you can't take 5 people in the vehicle. There are no climate vents in the back of the console because there is no console really. You've got the flippable armrest there for the driver, but you do have your own cup holder that you can fight over. No pockets in the backs of the seats, but you've got a little storage tray there and a clip for the seat belt. You want to just keep it out of the way when you're popping the seats down and up. But yeah, overall I think for a small car like this with such petite proportions, I think the practicality, they've made a good use of the space, as with the traditional classic Mini back in the days as well. And then right up the back, we've got a 210 litre boot that expands to 800 litres when you pop down the rear seats. They're 60/40 split fold. You do have a bit of extra storage under the floor, good enough for the charging cables and maybe some little knickknacks, but that's about it. All right, let's take it for a drive and see what it's like. See if that Mini tradition carries through despite being based on a platform that's not Mini or BMW, but also to see if it is still quite exciting to drive, because the Cooper S models were always, yeah, a lot of fun. This being electric, it's going to be, well, there is a sound mode that we can activate, but yeah, it's going to be silent. It's going to be different to revving through the gears and so on. We'll do the performance testing later on as well. So firstly, does it feel like a Mini? Well, it certainly has that darty go-kart character to it. In fact, let's flick it over now to the go-kart mode. You get a bit of a sort of Mario Kart, woohoo! We've got some different gauges and so on. Let's give it a push down this tight section. A lot of bumps on this road. And initially, when you're driving in the city, in the suburbs and so on, it does feel quite bouncy and rigid compared with the regular Cooper S, with a different platform obviously. So I think the weight does impact the overall dynamics on rough roads like this. If you're on a smooth road, it's very flat, low center of gravity thanks to that battery, and it would probably help it. But on a rough road, it is a little bit bouncy, but it's definitely got that, yeah, energetic feel to it. Like it's always wanting to change direction and just dart around the place. Very active. Having it in that go-kart mode means you get sport for the drivetrain, driving dynamics and stabilization, and steering behavior. And yeah, it does feel a little bit more amped up, a little bit ready to go compared with the regular modes. Down through here, we've got a couple of bumps and undulations and so on. You probably can't see them on camera. And yeah, it's soaking them up fairly well. Like it's not bouncing around as much as I thought it was going to. I think it's got that, you know, type of suspension where it's can be quite rigid and firm in slow conditions, but when you start pushing it pretty hard, it actually starts to make sense. Yeah, through there, that was quite nice. Definitely plenty of grip. Got all that weight down low, as I said, and on the front tires, a bit of pressure there, so that helps with traction as well. That's full throttle, picking up just fine. No loss of acceleration due to wheel spin. And it feels quite good. You can hear it clicking away, so the stability control is having to work away to contain it, but as in the relay for the stability management system, I can hear it sort of clicking over, like just then. But it's very agile and very sporty. Like, it feels fun. It's definitely not, you know, boring. This is an exciting little car to drive, that's for sure. I just think I would prefer the regular Cooper S suspension down here, because it's just a little bit more adaptable and can soak up the bumps with a bit more comfort and a bit more control, whereas this feels like it doesn't feel like it's bottoming out, but it just feels like it's closer to bottoming out compared with the regular Cooper S. Down through this tight off camber left-hander. Let's put a bit of pressure on the front outside wheel. That's full throttle and just ripped me around there, no problem at all. So it definitely has good brains behind it, and the steering geometry and the suspension geometry is all very good. It's able to contain the weight to provide that sporty characteristic feel that we know from Mini. In terms of the electric vehicle side of things, you've got 11 kilowatt AC charging max and a 95 kilowatt DC charging with a fast charger public station. And they're pretty good figures. 95 kilowatts is quite low compared with some EVs, but you've got to keep in mind this battery is only around 50 kilowatt hours. So at max charging, say it's 100 kilowatts of power going in, max is out at 95, but we'll just say 100 anyway. That's about 30 minutes to charge from empty to full, basically. But obviously when you're charging, it's going to slow down near the last, 20% or 10%. But still, that's a small battery. It's not going to take long to charge. I think that's why they've done that. I mean, it'll be interesting to have 150 kilowatt charging with such a small battery. It wouldn't take long to fill up at all, but I think it's not bad. At 95 kilowatts, I charged it before for about 15 minutes and it gave it a good chunk of range. So I don't think there's a worry there with 95 kilowatt charging. It doesn't seem to move around too much when you're in the different modes and so on, and even sporty driving. It seems to be quite consistent. The official average consumption rate is around 15 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is very good, being such a small and kind of lightweight package for an EV. It's quite efficient, and it's able to just cruise on the highway very well as well, because obviously this is designed for Europeans, I guess, and being owned by BMW, there's the Autobahn, high-speed highways and so on, so it's got to be suitable for those conditions as well, and I think it is. On the highway, it just cruises along without much effort and doesn't seem to eat into the battery as much as some EVs. But yeah, I think the main thing is the fun and the character of it. It's definitely one of the most characterful EVs, certainly in this class, and it does have that Mini DNA hiding behind there. As I said, the suspension is probably the only thing I would modify a little bit. They probably tried to contain the extra weight compared with what they're used to, I guess, at Mini Cooper S, but I think it does well. It's just on Australian country roads that have bumps and ripples like this, it does feel a little bit busy. Plenty of grip though, and good stability and control. I've just activated the artificial sound. It's kind of got like a turbo wastegate sound, ready? When you back it off, it's like sort of, it's like very electronic, but I think it does add theatre. Like, I'm not a huge fan of fake sounds in petrol vehicles or diesel vehicles, but I think in an EV, sometimes it is nice to have, if you're going for a sporty drive, just to have some sort of reference point. So when I release the throttle, the sound backs off, or when I give it the full beans, you just got that bit more theatre with the audio coming through. Even though it's not an engine sound, it's kind of interesting that it's not trying too hard to be an engine sound either. It's just an electronic sound. But yeah, I think it does add to the excitement of driving it. Look at that through there, it's full throttle, bit of tugging at the steering wheel, like a hot hatch, front wheel drive hot hatch. Very planted and solid on the road though. It's got that Germanic, really stable feel about it. Pretty wild sounds coming through there. But yeah, it's definitely an exciting package. It does feel like a Mini Cooper S. and it's quite quick as well. Speaking of which, let's go out now and do the performance test and see how it goes.